So what drew me to floating was I heard that it was being built in the forest, and it's not something that I had ever done before. I don't think I'd even heard of it at that point. And I was so intrigued because I've done lots of things from meditation to forest bathing and all sorts of different things. And yeah, so I was really intrigued as to what exactly it was. So I wanted to give it a go. And you know, life is busy. You know, I do a lot of different things, and to actually have a space where I can come to that I have absolutely nothing to do other than relax, that's very, very rare in my world. So yeah, to have that time where I can connect with the baby, where I can meditate, where I can think about things and let new ideas pop in is awesome. And actually it's on a physical level it's incredible because you know, I don't think, even in bed, I don't think you relax completely that much as you do in a tank. You know, you just let every tiny little muscle go, which is amazing. I think floating in pregnancy is a brilliant idea because life is busy, and you know, we all want the time when we're pregnant to connect with our baby and to really feel the baby and to talk to the baby in whatever way we'd like to. And again, just having an hour in which there's no interruptions, no disturbances, nobody can hear you, it's really a wonderful way to connect, I found, with my growing baby. And I think on a physiological level, you know, my stress comes down, I'm not busy thinking about my to-do lists, I'm really relaxed on a bodily level, and that is all in service of this precious little being. So I highly recommend floating for pregnant women. So I decided to keep a journal because I wanted to share my floats with the baby, so that yeah, as the baby was in my stomach and as a child, it could learn about what I was experiencing while it was in my belly, and that was really useful because I think it would have been so easy to forget things that had happened. They would have all kind of merged into one, and actually Will was really supportive of the idea of having a journal. Exactly for that reason. So yeah, it was a really good idea and has been good to reflect back on, you know, the journey I've had with it. So in floating more regularly, particularly being pregnant, I think it has been hugely beneficial for my body. You know, there's obviously, as I'm getting bigger, there's a lot of pressure on my back, and each time I've gone in for a float, if there's been any little aches and pains, they're not there when I come out. And I think then floating regularly means that they just never really come back again. So I don't know, this is my first pregnancy like this, so I don't know what it would be like without having all these floats. But I feel fantastic, you know, it's really given me a lot of energy and I feel really comfortable in my body, so I'm sure the floating has had a part to play in that. I think in having regular floats, I've had so many different experiences. You know, sometimes I've had quite profound experiences where I've literally just disappeared and something else has come into my awareness that is really blissful. Other times I've had quite a chattering mind and, you know, just watching it, seeing what's going on in my head. Other times I've had really good ideas. So it's quite nice to come regularly because yeah, you just have such a rich and diverse experience. And I think you tend to, well, my experience is that I've kind of built on each one. So sometimes I kind of go deeper, I think, because I've had one recently. Yeah. So I live near Ledbury and it's about a 45-minute drive to here, and it is so worth it. I think there are lots of things that we can do to enhance our well-being, and I think when you find something that works, it's always worth travelling for. And I think this in particular, you know, it's unusual compared to other things in that there's nothing to do. You know, you don't need to have a technique, you don't need to follow any particular practice, like you just get in the tank and relax, you know, that's such a treat. So I probably travel way more than 45 minutes for it. And I think on top of that, you know, the service that Shari and Will offer is amazing. They're so caring and thoughtful, and not just the float, but coming out afterwards is such a beautiful space to relax and have a cup of tea. So you're very well pampered here. So sharing the floating experience with my husband is brilliant, because it's each time we come, we both have a really different experience. And we've gone out for dinner afterwards, we've gone for a walk afterwards, and it's really nice to actually reflect with one another, and it gives us something interesting to share and to talk about. So it's a really wonderful thing to do, and we've both come in before feeling completely frazzled, and we go out feeling like we're floating. So it's probably really good for our relationship as well. Each float I've had has been really different, and Shari and Will are so accommodating in terms of, you can ask, they've got a playlist of different types of music that you can listen to, and they will change the colour in the room, and inside the pod itself you can change the colours. And so each time I've come, I've done something slightly different. And when you get into the pod, you have some music to start and some music to end, or you can just have it completely silent the whole time. And then there's these different coloured lights. So sometimes I've been bathed in like a red light, and it feels like I'm just lying inside a womb, which is quite amazing, because for the baby it's in a womb inside a womb. And then I had it completely green once, and I just felt like I was a bug on a leaf. So I've had really cool experiences playing with the different sensorial elements in the tank. And then you can just switch it off and be completely in the pitch black dark. And I think sometimes people think it might be claustrophobic, but there's just no sense of that. It's so big. And then when you're in the dark, you could be floating in outer space, which is quite a surreal and cool feeling. I think one of my coolest floats was off the back of a float that had come before, and I was having quite a lot of insight, as you do in a float, as to how I control things and how I want to have certain experiences in general in life. And of course the float was no exception. I was thinking I was going to have this great big profound spiritual experience. As soon as you want something and have an attachment to something, you're really not bringing it to you. And so I really noticed all these thoughts I was having in these belief systems. And so one float I kind of spent seeing that and really letting it go, and then amazingly the next float I came in with absolutely no expectation and really did have a very profound experience, where it was like my thoughts just stopped, there was just a fading away into nothingness, and I can only describe what was left as complete bliss. It was an absolutely extraordinary state, and one I've not felt like that in any other scenario. So yeah, give it a go.